Today we're going to be making oatmeal lace cookies. If you like caramel popcorn, this is the cookie for you. So this cookie is one of my favorite holiday cookies to make because it is so simple, it's so fast to make, and it's only 8 ingredients. It's likely everything you already have at home. So I would describe the flavor profile of these cookies to be sweet and salty. Texture-wise, it's super crunchy and crispy, which I love, but in the center, it can also be chewy. So don't think of it as like a thick oatmeal cookie. They're literally thin as lace. I can't take any credit for this recipe because it's something my friend Madeline made. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And then she gave me the recipe and I haven't stopped making it for the last 6 years. These cookies are super addicting and are definitely a fan favorite within my inner circle. So make sure you make a huge batch because you're gonna be eating so many of them. Make sure that you have enough to share with your friends and family. It looks like I'm telling a secret. You're gonna need these 8 ingredients right here. I hope you're a fast reader or you can just pause. All right, let's do this. Okay, so for this recipe, what you're gonna need are 2 baking sheets lined with parchment paper, 2 mixing bowls or whatever bowls you have, measuring spoons and measuring cups, a whisk to get this party started, and an offset spatula. I have 2 here because I just don't know which one I feel like using yet. Also, you're gonna need a spatula. I almost forgot to mention that.
What you're going to do is preheat and set your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In the meantime, melt your half cup of butter in a microwave-safe vessel and gather all of your ingredients. Usually, it's unsalted butter that's used in baking, but I use salted because I like to amplify that sweet and salty flavor even more in this cookie. That's just my personal preference.
So what you're gonna do is mix your dry ingredients first. You're gonna add 1 cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, not baking soda. These are your dry ingredients here, so just do a little rough mix. Okay, now we're gonna put our wet ingredients together. We're gonna add our half a cup of butter, oatmeal, then we have our 1 egg, and lastly, we're gonna add half a teaspoon of this. Okay, so with our wet ingredients plus the oatmeal, we're gonna mix, mix, mix. It's gonna smell like vanilla oatmeal, looking like scrambled eggs with oats in it, okay? Now we're gonna add our dry mixture that has the sugar in it. Again, more mixing. This is an arm workout. What's good about this recipe is that you don't need any fancy tools. Like I made this with the fork before. You don't need a stand mixer. You don't need a hand mixer. Whatevs, yo. Nothing fancy to it, but looks fancy and tastes delicious. Oh my God. I'm not much of a baker because I always tend to fail at all those recipes, but this one I can get behind. Well mixed. This is focusing. Oh my God, I never learn. Okay, let's get everything off the sides. Looking nice like this. It's gonna look kind of glossy, like my lip gloss. Oh, I forgot to add. You're gonna need a spoon or 2. I got 2 little spoons here and I use little because what's gonna happen is that when you put the batter onto the cookie sheet and it's gonna bake, it's gonna spread and you don't want too much batter. Got my cookie sheet here with the parchment paper and I'm gonna do 6 dollops of batter. So it's gonna be 3 by 2. See how much this 1 cookie sheet uses? It's only 6 dollops of batter, but yet I still have so much left in here. I love this recipe because you can yield so many cookies out of it. Sometimes I could make 2 dozen or 2 dozen and a half, depending on how big my spoonfuls are. Okay, so the oven is preheated at 350 right now. I'm gonna put these babies in the middle rack.
Before you put your cookies in the oven, make sure you use the oven or your phone to set a timer for 5 minutes minimum and keep counting and watching at 30-second intervals until it bakes to a nice golden brown on the edges. Every oven cooks differently. At my mom's, I bake these for 5 minutes, and with my own oven, they need to bake for a total of 7 minutes instead. Be careful and don't get distracted. These cookies can burn really easily. While the first tray is in the oven, prepare the second tray of dough so that once the timer is done on your first batch, you can swap trays to be efficient and save time.
Look at that. This is what you want. Okay, you see this right here and this is why you need an offset spatula, or the back of a knife is fine, but something dull, and split it in half. You gotta do this when it comes right out of the oven because it's still soft. If you wait a little too long, and I mean by a minute or two, they'll be too hardened and crispy that you'll just have one giant cookie. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay, so you're gonna see that these cookies, when you're using the offset spatula, glides right off perfectly. Check out this cookie, how pretty it is. You'll see here that the oatmeal is spread across the cookie. We got crispy edges, and on some cookies, there's a chewy center. Listen to how crispy it is. All right, so I just finished up. I have a pile of dishes next to me here, and I'm happy to report that I have made 3 dozen of these beautiful cookies. So these cookies are super pretty, as you can see, but they're super fragile. When I serve them to guests, I like to stack them on a plate like this. It reminds me of a stack of pancakes, and they'll eventually go down because they're super addicting. You can also put this in airtight Tupperware, but I promise you these babies won't last. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that this recipe was super simple to follow. I quite enjoy it, and I hope you do too. Comment down below on what you think and what you'd like for me to make next. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and obviously you can follow my Instagram, which I'll put right here. Thank you so much for watching.